Welcome back to the Wizard's Kitchen, my magical friends. And here I am, as promised, with our weekly recipe. And today we're going to make a sourdough brownie tiramisu. Because, I mean, it's Valentine's Day, so we need chocolate, we need richness. Now, for the brownie, we need butter, white sugar, brown sugar, vanilla, cocoa powder, sourdough starter, baking powder, and salt. The first thing we're going to do is melt some butter. And I measured this butter. This is 113 grams. You'll find most of my recipes are by weight, but you could convert them to cups if you don't have a scale. These brown bits are just, I had a teensy bit of brown butter left over from something else and decided to add some of it here. You could definitely use all brown butter or all just regular melted. This is salted butter because I only believe in salted butter, but unsalted is fine. Okay, so once the butter is mostly melted, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat and let the residual heat melt it the rest of the way. Okay, once the butter is all melted, right here in the pot, we're going to add the white sugar and the brown sugar. Mix that up. There we go. And then, I'm going to add the scale. This is a bit hot, so we're going to add the... There we go. Then we're going to add in cocoa powder. 85 grams of cocoa powder. I'm using two types of cocoa powder. I'm going to use regular unsweetened non-Dutch processed cocoa powder. And I'm going to add some really dark Dutch processed cocoa as well. I like the really dark color you get from it. So I'm going to do about 50 grams of regular, and then I'll add in the rest of this dark cocoa. $85. This is the good thing about the scale. I'm going to mix this to combine, and then I'm going to go ahead and pour it in a bowl. And all the while this is going on, you want to be preheating your oven. Probably should have started with that, eh? Preheating your oven to 350 while you're getting this mixed up together. So we're going to transfer it into this bowl, and then we're going to add the rest of our other ingredients. Theoretically, you could probably mix this whole thing in the pot, because the pot doesn't get super hot because it's only on there for a couple of minutes. All right, next we're going to add our 2 whole eggs. There we go. And mix those in here. This is very thick, so might take a bit to get it going. So mix that all in. Pretty cool by now, the mixture. Okay, now we're going to go back to the scale. Oops, making a mess. We're going to go back to the scale so we can add our sourdough starter. Now, this isn't super active, but it's not super deflated yet either. So we're going to add 125 grams of, I would say, recently fed, but it doesn't have to be super bubbly, sourdough starter. After we mix in the starter, I'm going to add a lot of tangy flavor, and we'll let it sit for a little bit to really get in there. We're going to add in now a half a teaspoon of baking powder. Oops, there. And then we're going to add in a quarter of a teaspoon of salt. And the very, very last thing we're going to add is 120 grams of all-purpose flour. Wait, just kidding. The last thing we're going to add is actually going to be some vanilla. This calls for a teaspoon, but we'll just kind of wing it. Half teaspoon, sorry. You want to use kind of a folding motion with your spatula. This is not something you want to really vigorously mix. We want to keep a fudgy texture, and so we're only going to mix it until there are no more streaks of white. Okay, this is dark and rich and fudgy. You'll see it's super thick. And now we're going to put it in the pan. Now what we're going to use for this is a 9-inch springform pan. And I have a piece of parchment in the bottom. This will just help take it off and also to seal around the edges a little bit. Even though this batter is so thick, it's not likely to leak out the sides. Once it's in the pan, you want to take, this is a spatula, but you could also use a knife, and you're going to spread it out so that it's even. Okay, once that's all smoothed out, we're going to pop it in a 350-degree oven. Oh, I forgot to say, I did butter the sides of this. I wasn't going to originally, but I decided let's be safe. So I buttered this, and the bottom of the parchment is. And we're going to put it in 350-degree oven for 25 to 30 minutes. You don't want a toothpick to come out clean, but you want some like moist crumbs to be sticking to it when you pull it out. Just realized this stupid microphone stopped transmitting. So I'm voice recording over this. Here is a pot in my French press. This is really strong coffee. I didn't have espresso, but if you have espresso, you can make that. But I just made really, really strong coffee. And then you can add coffee liqueur is popular for this, or rum. But I had this. Tyson found this somewhere on sale. So this is a cream liqueur, and it's salted caramel flavor. So I thought, how could that be bad? Got a package of lady fingers. These are like little airy cookies, to be honest. They, as just a snacking cookie, they don't do it for me, but they are perfect in this when they soak up the liquid, because they're pretty dry. And I took the brownie out. You can see this is cool down. It's not all the way cool down, but cool enough. This does have to go in the fridge, and you don't want to melt the mascarpone mixture on top. So you're going to dunk in the ladyfingers. As you can see, it's mixing up. And I poked holes in the top of the brownie, and so that, all the liquid that drains off can soak into, because that'll be good. And I'll probably spoon some on top. And I broke up the cookies so I could, it's not exactly cute, but you won't see it, so that it fills in all the spaces. We are only doing one layer of this, so we want it to be fully covered. Now, I froze this bowl for a few minutes before I was mixing the whipped cream, because whipped cream loves a cold bowl. So, right, so that's powdered sugar in there. And I find the cornstarch in powdered sugar helps in terms of stabilizing whipped cream, even though we are putting the mascarpone in. And I also put some granulated sugar. This is vanilla bean paste. You can use vanilla extract if you don't have it, but I like, especially in something that's going to stay white and fluffy like this, I like the little specks, because it gives it that vanilla bean ice cream vibe. So 2 tablespoons of vanilla bean paste, and then I'm going to mix this until we get to soft peaks. And I'll show you what I mean. When you pop it up, you'll see that there we go, a soft little peak. So it doesn't completely hold its shape, but it does flop over a bit. And then we're going to add room temperature mascarpone. This is about 250 to 260-ish grams. And if you don't have mascarpone, or if it's expensive as hell, like it can be, and you just can't do it this month, then you can use cream cheese. It won't be quite the same. It'll be more like a cheesecake on top, because mascarpone has some distinctive characteristics. So this is room temperature. So we had cold whipped cream in a cold bowl and room temperature mascarpone. And then we mix that up to stiff peaks. And then we're going to flop that on the top of the moistened cookies and spread it out till it's smooth. And then I'm going to refrigerate this for a couple hours. Take off I covered it with plastic wrap, and you're doing all of this in the spring form, and this is why a spring form is good for this. You could do this in a dish too. You don't have to have a spring form. This is just unsweetened cocoa powder, and this is classic tiramisu to just dust over the top, completely covering it. And then I'm going to add these little hard candies because, it's Valentine's Day. Why not? Goes with the vibe. I don't want them all over it because, no. So 3 little hard candies for the aesthetic. And then I'm going to unmold this. And when you guys are not watching, I'm going to lick the sides of the springform ring. And there it is. You can see the cookies peeking out on the side. By now, they're moistened. And you're going to keep this in the fridge, obviously, and take it out for serving. Here's the cut. And it slices so nicely, that fudgy brownie. This is rich, so you don't need huge slices. And look at that cookie layer. It's like a cake layer. And this is so good. You definitely want to make this. Look at all my vegetables in the background. But this isn't a set. This is my real kitchen. Enjoy. See you next week.